What do you mean?
All right, this is episode 5 audio version of Cellular Conversations. We are on the move. We are actually doing food deliveries right now, but we have our guest on the car speaker, very crisp and clear. We're just on our way to Jack in the Box, and we figured we'd talk about some sports. I guess what's your takes on especially the sports media, especially with the people that are in it, you know?
Well, I just have to say, when I think of sports media, I still think of the sports leader, and of course that's ESPN. And they have had some struggles, but there's been struggles all around in the entertainment business. Box offices are down, and I think a clear answer to that is the fact that what streaming has become, especially from the youth, and with certain programs having to be online, forcing adult and older users and subscribers to use as well. But it all starts with, I would say, about 10 years ago, with ESPN was on top, and they had a man by the name of John Skipper. He was in charge of the company, and at that time they were just really making, big swinging deals. I believe they spent almost, or maybe over, $150 million on a simple set. And just all these expensive sport deals. The most disastrous, without question, I believe, was the deal they did with the Major League Networks. And the big misfire was not just the overall interest of the sport of baseball going down nationally, but the fact that those who are interested in sports aren't interested on the national level. They support their local teams. So there's no need for ESPN in that regard, and just the whole need of streaming, and how you get live sports not necessarily through a cable subscription package.
What are your thoughts on... Oh, my bad. Go ahead. I was going to say, what are your thoughts on bandwagoners? Especially
Well, the problem with sports media is they really stupefied the conversation about sports. Like, they've really dumbed it down. Like, you talk to people about sports, they don't know it. They don't look at it from the perspective of playing, and they look at too much of the perspective of watching. It's like, for example, like, somebody might say that Kobe Bryant is better than LeBron James. That's one opinion you'll hear amongst the sports.
I know. I disagree with that. I disagree.
Sports media. Well, like,
I would definitely disagree with that without any question.
The
reason why I disagree so heavily.
Well, I mean, I don't understand, like, the LeBron and Jordan debate. Like, what's with that? Like, what do you guys think about the LeBron and Jordan debate? Like, they're saying LeBron's better than Jordan, but I'm like, nah, I don't know.
It's an age-related debate, really. Like, people who are 20 and under, for the most part, are pretty even on LeBron versus Jordan, and people who are 25 and over are pretty on saying that Jordan is clearly the guy. And then in between, like, 20 and 25 is like a kind of a middle ground, where Jordan is like a 65% winner of that debate. And it's honestly such a stupid debate.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
The reason it's a stupid debate is because of sports media, like we talked about. Like, it's this whole question that sports media always creates is, who's the greatest? I don't think that's what we should be worried about. Being the greatest doesn't mean shit.
Yeah.
Like, being the greatest is being the most memorable or memorized.
Yeah, that could. That could be on and off the court for sure.
Yeah, and being the best is more important than being the greatest. I mean, people don't really talk about that as much. Like, you know, Kevin Durant and Steph Curry right now, probably most people don't have them in their top 20 yet, or top 15, but pretty clearly Steph Curry and Kevin Durant are two of the top 15 best basketball players to ever play in the NBA, or any basketball league in general. So it really begs the question, like, what does it really matter if somebody's great? Like, at the end of the day, when we were growing up playing basketball, nobody really cared about who won this or that. It was all about who was just the best player with the ball in their hands.
Yeah.
And that's what sports media has lost. The beauty of recognizing that the best players are the best players, and there's no media standpoint, no calling a player a choker or a system player or
Well, of course you are wrong, because at the end of the day, it is competition, and that is the point. There are winners and losers.
Yeah, but in team sports, winners and losers, you know, the winners want to have all their credit even when they don't do anything. And that's the only reason why people put such an emphasis on individual losers. Because people talk about how much a team thing winning is. Okay, well, why do they turn around and say that the X team lost Y game because Z player played bad? So, like, it's just a never-ending thing. That's my least favorite thing about sports media in general, is how in team sports they try to act like one player is responsible. You know, in the Super Bowl this past year, Jalen Ramsey allowed I believe it was a 75-yard pass. Might be wrong, but it was a 75-yard pass, and he got beat by Jamar Chase multiple times, wide receiver for the Bengals, according to, you know, the stats and the people, the pundits. That's what happened. But if you really watched the game, you would know that Jalen Ramsey, the best cornerback in the game, is not doing anything wrong, because on that 75-yard pass, he got grabbed across the face by the face mask, and it should have been an offensive pass interference. And then on several of the Chase catches, two were late in the game when he was backing up and giving Chase space, and then pushed him out of bounds. So that's two right there. And then a few other ones where, you know, the Rams are a zone coverage team. A lot of sports media do not account for team strategy. When the Mavericks played LeBron in 2011 and they beat him, yeah, LeBron did not play well, but he was literally playing against a defense with a 5'6" guy sitting underneath him, poking away at the ball. So he had to turn immediately his back to the basket, for one. For two, he had anybody who was in help, the second guy over and the first guy over, they were both ready to close out on him. Then they always had somebody in the paint to guard him. So he changed to have Chris Bosh at center and put shooters around LeBron. And LeBron passed the ball, and he passed the ball, and he passed the ball, and he passed the ball. And to be honest, if you watch games 5 and 6 specifically of that series, you'll see LeBron make so many great passes.
You are speaking about the 2011 NBA Finals?
Yes.
Well, why don't you just Game 4 when he had 8 points?
Because there's 6 games in the finals.
Yeah, and he's the single reason why the Miami Heat lost.
See, that's the problem with sports media. They would have you believe that.
It's actually without question, because since then, LeBron, without any question, has changed, and he is always the alpha of his team. At that time, he was not. it was still a give and a take with his teammate Dwayne Wade. And that all changed because of his breakdown in that series. He didn't have two hands on the wheel. He was
Okay,
just
but what people don't talk about from that series is Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade were pitiful. They were terrible. Dwayne Wade against that same zone, with the same shooters missing shots, and LeBron still being a relatively undeveloped shooter compared to what he's become. Dwayne Wade was driving in traffic in games 5 and 6. If you really watch, it's Dwayne Wade's fault they lose. Because he starts trying to take over in the possessions LeBron doesn't have the ball. And the Mavericks keep stripping him. He's taking mid-ranges, contested.
I think you're ignoring the fact that LeBron deferred a majority of the time, specifically in the fourth quarter of all 6 games in that series.
He did, but the sports narrative that deferring, and I mean, nobody would ever tell a high school player, you're fucking up, you're passing.
Well, I know one thing. LeBron James played in the NBA Finals in 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018, and never did what he did in 2011 ever again for the rest of that decade. So I think he clearly
because they couldn't show him that defense again. The Mavs tried running the same.
So you're saying for the next 8 years, no NBA team would try to do what the worst thing ever to ever come out of the body of LeBron James on a basketball court. No team would.
They did. The Warriors tried to emulate it, and the Warriors.
All I know is there's nothing that could stop LeBron when he is on. He was not on that series. He was guarded by J.J. Barea and not looking at the basket.
But he wasn't guarded by J.J. Barea though.
He was. That's
the misconception. J.J. Barea was just the first.
All right. This has been episode 5 of Cellular Conversations.
Which prove my point. J.J. Barea was guarding LeBron, and he was trying to pass
for having Al Berry and James Wagner on today. Bam Bam.